More samples used in The Mind Electric. This is a continuation of my prior videos, but if you haven't seen them, that's okay. Huge thank you to Verismint for this video, too. Hopefully I didn't just butcher saying your username. Towards the beginning of The Mind Electric, there is a reversed voice. When you reverse that, you can hear, which is a sample from this film.
Pythian prophetess, who speaks with the tongue of Apollo.
This is connected to the audiobook sample in The Mind Electric of Apology by Plato, as both are portraying the trial of Socrates, and both samples are from the same part of the discussion about wisdom in the trial. The same moment, but different adaptations. Who speaks with the tongue of Apollo is spoken in regard to the Oracle of Delphi, asking if anyone is wiser than Socrates. This sample is from the public domain audiobook, The Lady from the Sea. The main character was the daughter of a lighthouse keeper who fell in love with a sailor, but he murdered his captain and had to escape, asking her to wait for him. The sample is from a scene of her two stepdaughters, one who is gossiping about their stepmother and her interactions with another man, thinking that she's going to go mad, and the other daughter saying that she should be ashamed of saying that.
I wonder if those two aren't making eyes at one another.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
You ought to be is distorted again from that quote. We knew this episode from the Box 13 radio show was already sampled from a scene towards the beginning, but there's another interaction that also appears in The Mind Electric. You can hear it faintly to the right. At the beginning of the Box 13 episode, Mr. Holliday's secretary Susie is warning him about being kidnapped to work as a sailor. Then that ends up happening, but he rows 10 miles to escape, and this is the dialogue from his captors.
Ma'am, we're more'n 10 miles off Catalina.
If Mr. Holliday wishes to be ashore before tonight, he'd better start rowing now.
Here's the sample audio overlaid with its appearance in the song.
If Mr. Holliday wishes to be ashore before tonight, he'd better start rowing now.
This next one's pretty well known, but I didn't mention it in my last video. It seems that this laugh is from Zelda 2. Here's how it appears in the game. Either it was edited or mimicked very closely for The Mind Electric. Joe has referenced Zelda before, such as in the video I Am Not Joe Hawley, and with the song Hymn for a Scarecrow. This sample is also from an ancient Greek text, but a version read by college students. I'm not sure how or if this sampled material ties into the themes of The Mind Electric. It's a scene from a comedy about how the women of Greece are teaming up to try forcing their husbands and lovers to stop a war.
And I, too. Why, to get a peep at the shy thing, I clamber up to the tip-top of Targatus.
Then I'll expose my mighty mystery. O women, if we could compel the men to bow to peace, we must refrain.
Something that the user Typical Start pointed out to me is that this play is mentioned by Joe in the Hawaii Part 2 Reddit Ask Me Anything. Here's the sample audio overlaid with where it appears in the song so you can hear the full thing better.
And I, too. Why, to get a peep at the shy thing, I clamber up to the tip-top of Targatus.
Then I'll expose my mighty mystery. O women, if we could compel the men to bow to peace, we must refrain.
Another segment from this recording is also sampled. At the halfway point of The Mind Electric, which could also be considered as being the halfway point of Hawaii Part 2, there is this reversed voice. Here's what it sounds like when you reverse that. Part 2, Hawaii Part 2. This is actually the narrator introducing the second segment of the recording.
Part 2 of Aristophanes' Lysistrata.
Lastly, this isn't a sample, but something interesting I discovered which could be a reference. It could also just be coincidence. I've always wondered the significance of the service of the fee fi fo fum line from Jack and the Beanstalk, just not entirely sure if that necessarily has any attachment to the Mind Electric. In December 1972, the Apollo 17 mission happened, which was the last Apollo mission. On board, they had 5 mice, which had been implanted with monitors in their scalps to see if they would be impacted by cosmic ray particles. The mice were nicknamed Fee, Fi, Fo, Fum, and Fooey, however, one of them perished during the mission. We don't know which one was named which, or even if the crew was aware, but if it was Fooey who died, we've got Fee, Fi, Fo, Fum, particles, people messing with your brain, all of those themes as part of the mission. Another thing is one of the mission days was on December 12th, which would have been exactly 40 years before Hawaii Part 2 was released. If these things are connected to the Mind Electric, I don't know. The whole thing is such a hodgepodge of influences, and I don't know 100% what all of them are, but I also don't want to rule anything out either. As some people on my channel might know, I found a video game called The Mind Electric from 1995. It could be nothing, and happens to match the song title, but there's also some imagery which is vague enough that it could be similar to Hawaii Part 2. Anyways, this now gives the up-to-date version of my knowledge of the Mind Electric and the different discoveries, as well as things I've learned. There's still plenty more samples that we have no idea about, though. I would highly recommend looking at this Google Doc by Typical Start, which helps categorize a lot of the different sentences of samples that we know, as well as some of the samples that we just don't know yet. If you have any discoveries, I highly recommend either commenting here or adding notes to that Google Doc, just because the Mind Electric is a mystery, but it is a mystery I love to know more about, and I know there are plenty of other people who are interested in it too. Thank you for watching, and I'll share to my channel whenever I learn anything new in regards to the Mind Electric, because I love the Mind Electric.